Well, good morning, Mosaic. First thing you probably noticed is that this is not a live stream. Sorry about that. We're hoping to figure something out this week. We just tried to do things with the computers and had to deal with the learning curve, but it turns out we just don't have the software, at least yet, that's beefy enough to handle an adequate live stream. So we are recording. It is right now 9:04 a.m., so it's the closest thing to live that we have. But nonetheless, it is a recording that you're watching. Thank you for making time. I will actually be live on YouTube. That is not through a video, but I'll be seeing comments. So if you want to make comments below the video, you can, and I can respond to them if you have any questions or whatever. But if nothing else, just be comforted by the fact that a lot of Mosaic is watching this video right now. It may not be live, sorry. Hopefully we'll have that next week. We'll do the best we can with the technology we have and the resources we have. But it's probably good to know that all your church family is here watching the same thing at the same time. And if you have any questions, add a comment or have any just thing you want to say to the church, use the comment section and let's use it well. So just want to start off this time with a few announcements. It's good to be able to talk to you. A lot of the correspondence you'll be getting from me has been through emails and websites and all that stuff. So just want to say some things just with my voice to you all to keep you all posted on what's going on. First of all, hope you had an opportunity to see the new website. Check it out. We'll have some shout outs with that later. But make sure you see the website, but especially see on the top right-hand corner, you'll see COVID-19 updates. That's how we are going to inform the church about what's going on. So if a new update gets posted, we'll put it on social media. But it might be a good just habit to check that maybe once a day to see what's going on. Don't anticipate any radical new changes, but news will have to go out early this week just to kind of inform you about what's happening with this remote situation. When can we possibly gather together again? All those kinds of things that the church needs to know. So we'll also post on social media, I mentioned. The handle is at Mosaic Lex. That's our handle for Twitter and Facebook. And we hope to tell you that there's an update through social media as well. You'll also probably already notice that we are giving online now. We have through the website, you can click Give on the top right-hand corner. It'll bring you to a little button. We click that button that says Give. A little window will open. It's very intuitive, very simple. It's through a organization called Tithely. They do online giving for organizations like the Salvation Army. So they're well tested. They have a lot of clients. They do really well. I found them to be incredibly helpful and they are especially swamped in this time when a lot of churches are now going to online giving since they can't meet. So hopefully you'll take a chance to look at that. Hopefully we will continue as a church to give sacrificially. We understand that some of you are probably a bit nervous financially. We understand. But as a church, even on certain times, we're all still called to be generous, probably at different times, under different circumstances. But we wanted to make that as easy as possible in this time. So we ask that you check that out. You'll also notice that there are different ways of giving. When you put your offering in, you'll see a general fund to the right of the amount that you give. But you'll also be able to hit that scroll menu and it'll say COVID Benevolence. So what the elders have done is we've created room in the budget. We've created essentially a special line item for this time as benevolence for this time. So it's possible, indeed probably inevitable, that some in our church will experience some financial difficulty in this time. So we wanted to make room in the budget for that so that if there's a need, we have some resources to meet those needs as much as we can. So please, family, in addition to your offerings, consider giving to the Benevolence Fund. I'm sure you already are doing a great job in offering time and resources for family that you know personally, in your home group, just those you know, friends, etc. But in addition to that, if you want to give some so we can have at least a pool of resources to give to those in need, that'd be very helpful. And you have a way to do that. Also, as we've said through posting before, please click on bank on when you're giving. That'll actually be the charge will be less for the services. And then if you want to be even more generous, you can click on cover the fees, which will just add the 1% charge plus 30 cents for the online giving. So I know it's a lot. We've written all that down, but I want to say that again because I know it's new. I've never done it before. So probably good to over communicate than not communicate enough. Next thing, you probably already saw this in an update, but if there's a need for practical help, please contact Justin and Madison Posey. You can find both their numbers in the directory. You can text them at the same time. But they're essentially organizing efforts, bringing a team together, and they're kind of telling people and organizing people to provide practical help for those who need it. So examples could be like make a grocery run if you are isolating yourself. Other kinds of very practical things that they will accomplish in a safe and sanitary manner. So please contact them, and we want to thank them already for just providing some practical help for those who need it. Don't be shy, and if you want to contact the elders and one of the elders get to them, that's fine as well. We can do that. But please, Justin and Madison Posey, they were very eager to step in and say, does anybody need anything practical? Let's help. So please make sure you get a hold of them if you need anything. So I would be not kind, and I would also be not acknowledging reality if I gave any indication that all of these changes, websites, social media, online giving, this posting on YouTube, all these kinds of things, that I did this on my own. I didn't. I had a lot of help. So it's very appropriate, I think, especially now, to give some shout outs. First of all, I want to give a shout out to Portia Thomas, who created the website, and also without blinking, without skipping a beat, took a phone call from me on Monday and said, hey Portia, actually we know the deadline for the website was in a few weeks, but we would like to have it done this week. And she said yes, and she got it done. So Portia, thank you. Body, make sure that you just give her a text saying thank you for all the work that she's put in, all the times that she was hearing recommendations from me, doing something, hey, could you change this? Hey, can we try that? Can we change this? All those kinds of things, which I'm sure made her want to pull her hair out. Just make sure you say thank you to our sister. Secondly, also Andre and Keegan, who are actually behind the camera right now, keeping a safe distance, but they are behind the camera, kind of coming in and being my media crew for this time. They came in on a Saturday to test all these things out, to see what our capabilities were, and been sacrificial with their time and their resources. That's why we have microphones, we have cameras, we have recording equipment, we have a light over here. My study is now a studio because of them. So I can't say thank you enough, gentlemen. Also, just want to give a shout out again to Justin and Madison Posey for stepping in to provide practical help. Also, not to mention Justin's communications advice along the way as I kind of learn how to do social media again. And I'm sure there'll be a learning curve there as well. A couple more. Also, just want to give a shout out to your elders. That in this time they've been calling people this week, checking in on folks, being true shepherds of the flock, taking time their crazy schedules as they're trying to adjust to the new, hopefully temporary normal. Just make sure you commend your elders for being good shepherds in this time, that they have their lives that they're dealing with, they have their challenge that they're dealing with, and they're still reaching out to you. So thank you guys. Thank you, men. And also, body, make sure that you are being an encouragement to your elders, as I'm sure they're being an encouragement to you. And of course, it would be stupid not to just thank you all, Mosaic. Thank you all for dealing with this in stride. Thank you for not forgetting one another. Thank you all for being flexible in this time. Thank you for all the little phone calls, the Zoom meetings, the text messages, the hey, how you doing? And also just the patience as Mosaic, as a body, as we're trying to adjust to this and having to make a lot of turns on a dime in a very quick amount of time. Thank you. You know, when I think about this, I'm reminded of what Winston Churchill, a long ago Prime Minister of Britain, that during World War II in 1940, he gave a speech to the British people on June 18th, 1940. Now, this is kind of a period of history I like, so that may not a lot of people know, but here's what happened. This is during World War II, and Hitler's forces pushed French and British troops all the way to the coast of France to a town called Dunkirk, from which the British had to rescue pretty much most of their military forces, called the British Expeditionary Force, and a lot of French forces, and bring them back to England. So now they're in a place where they are essentially surrounded by Germany, and they know that that Hitler, the Nazis, are going to come attack their island. And he gave this famous speech just a few weeks after that rescue on June 18th, when the rescue was done on June 4th. It's a famous speech, but at the end of the speech comes this famous sentence. He says, "Let us therefore brace ourselves to our duties, and so bear ourselves that if the British Empire and its Commonwealth last for 1,000 years, people will say, this was their finest hour." Essentially this. Churchill says to the people of England, listen, even if our country and our civilization lasts 1,000 years beyond now, 1,000 years from now, people will look back on this year at this time and say, wow, if only we can be what they were then. And family, when I think of that speech, I think of you in this time. That maybe in this time, that when the Lord gives us the privilege to look back on this trying time, we will have the privilege to look back and say, wow, that was a good time. That was a fine hour. That was a time when God showed up, when God showed His graciousness, and when God's people showed themselves what they were made of. Wouldn't that be a wonderful memory to have? Let us as a church of Mosaic be able to look back and say, wow, this was their finest hour. And then in the future we can look forward and say that there are more finest hours to come. And I'm confident that with God's help, we won't be looking back and say this was our only finest hour, but we'll say this was our finest hour until the next finest hour, until the next finest hour, until the next finest hour. And I'm confident, Mosaic, that you all are a people who bring many finest hours, not only now, but in the years, all the years that God gives us. So as a last bit, what then are our duties that Churchill talks about? What do we do in this time so that we may look back at this time as our finest hour? I think Scripture gives us our answer. Romans 12, 9 through 13. And thankfully this is a recording. You can pause your video if you need to find it. But Romans 12, 9 through 13, especially verses 12 and 13. Let love be genuine. Abhor what is evil. Hold fast to what is good. Love one another with brotherly affection. Outdo one another in showing honor. Do not be slothful in zeal. Be fervent in spirit. Serve the Lord, and especially these two verses. Rejoice in hope. Be patient in tribulation. Be constant in prayer. Contribute to the needs of the saints. And seek to show hospitality. Romans 12, 9 through 13, especially verses 12 and 13. These are our marching orders in this time. This is kind of the wartime strategy in this very uncertain and weird time. They always have been, but they especially are now. So in a time when you may be asking, well, what do I do? When you get caught up in this life and say, okay, I don't even know how to use my time, how can you focus your mind onto what you should be doing for one another and for the Lord in this time? Romans 12, 9 through 13. Go there and let's not forget. If we are faithful in these orders, the Lord indeed, I believe, will allow us to look back at this time and we will say, this was Mosaic's finest hour. That is, until you all top it again into another finest hour and another finest hour and another finest hour for as many years as the Lord gives us.